All right, so let's begin. Welcome to the first session in your spring Yin 5-week course. So Chinese medicine is the health basis for Yin Yoga. So it's very different to other forms of yoga, which uses a system of nadis and chakras. The Yin practice leans into traditional Chinese medicine and the Taoist philosophy and some of the Buddhist philosophy, like kind of originating from more the kind of Chinese side of the wisdom-based traditions rather than the Indian. However, it could be said that Yin Yoga is also a deeply traditional old form of Indian yoga practice. The ancient texts, kind of going back to the medieval period and even earlier than that, really prioritize a yoga practice which focuses on stillness in order to build the stability and resilience in the body to be able to sit for long periods of meditation. The original goal of yoga was not to become supple and bendy and flexible. The original goal was to be able to access deeper states of awareness, to alter your state of consciousness within this lifetime. So in a way, Yin Yoga is ancient, as well as being a much kind of more modern and more international version of yoga. The reason I bring this up is this particular time of year, spring, is connected in Chinese medicine with the wood element. And the wood element, which is one of 5 of the Chinese medicine elements, is connected with the liver and gallbladder meridian pair. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about the liver and gallbladder meridian lines in the next session. But it basically means that when we sequence through when we sequence seasonally or according to the meridian lines or the elements in traditional Chinese medicine, we're choosing poses that tap into those energetic channels within the body. Now, the gallbladder line kind of runs loosely along the side body. I'll draw more specific maps in session 2. And the liver line, just think of it kind of being from the kind of sides of the rib cage down through the middle of the body, down into the inner groin. So for both lines, we're looking at side body and side and inner legs. All right, so I've chosen poses for this course that will access those particular points. Hopefully we'll release tension that we're carrying in that area. But Yin Yoga isn't really about stretching. It's definitely not about strength building. It's very much about using the posture as a portal to achieving deeper states of kind of self-connection, meditation, and breath connection. I see them as little kind of pods in which we can experience meditation. And because we're doing something physical with the body that generally feels like it's opening, it's stimulating, it's softening, it can be more engaging and more accessible as a form of meditation than sitting for long periods of time to meditate. So many students find that it's really the way into understanding what meditation is about. So as we go through the poses, which we will hold in this session between 5 to 10 minutes, you will find that the experience of the pose changes as your body begins to surrender and relax. We're not pushing for deep stretch. You'll find that as we come into these very simple yoga poses that are pretty much all floor-based, your body will slowly give way to the force of gravity. You'll find that as your breath becomes deeper and more smooth, that itself gives you some kind of internal massage that can release internally held tension. And our mind and our nervous system, as we begin to be more of in a present state, will also contribute to that feeling of release and surrender and softness. In Chinese medicine, the wood element, if you visualize a tree, it's seen to be the first of the 5 elements, the first being the thing that brings creativity. It kind of grounds something that's creative or universal on the earth. And the movement of the elements can be seen as connecting the heavens and the earth. So the way that the trees stand so tall, they connect the earth element with the sky, with the ether. And so as we take these poses, the hope is that it builds a bit more space in the body for you to stand taller, to feel more grounded, but also to feel more open to the space above you. So we're kind of emulating the energy, the posture, the presence, and the energy of trees. Let's begin in a kneeling position if you can. There are 3 tattvas to Yin Yoga. Tattvas mean kind of tenets or points. If kneeling doesn't work for you, feel free to sit on a cushion. Feel free to come to cross-legged or legs straight out in front of you. You could even sit on a chair here at this point. If you're comfortable to take your hands into your lap, ideally cosmic mudra. So right hand under left, tips of the thumbs coming together to touch. So you're barely teasing out sensation in the tips of your thumbs. Elbows loose like a bowl. Roll the shoulder blades back and down. Gently rock the side body, the hips, and then come to stillness where you feel the center of your body pouring like water into the basin of your pelvis. Draw your chin's crease in and lift the tips of your ears up. Gently smile with your eyes closed, softening the corners of the mouth upwards. Swallow so there's no tension in your throat. Take in the sounds around you, listening without strain or effort to the smallest sounds that you can hear. Notice without judgment the movement, the tone of your mind. Notice with compassion any emotions or tension that you're carrying within the physical body. Without wishing it were different, without changing it, just acknowledging what is there for you in this moment. Holding space for just that. There's a beautiful saying from a book called The Prophet by Cahill Gibran that says, the more that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. And I think that's a really nice way of kind of accepting and holding space for all different sensations that we can carry as humans. Yoga practice isn't just about feeling calm and happy and content. It's about actually acknowledging and holding the things that can be a little bit more uncomfortable as well, building that resilience. So the three tattvas or kind of tenets of Yin Yoga are firstly to come into a version of the posture that feels right for you. Often the yin poses are called archetypes, meaning it's a rough suggestion, but the exact alignment and technique will really depend on your unique anatomy and your unique skeleton. Because we're not primarily working with a muscular body, it means that we will hopefully uncover more of a great understanding of our own unique skeleton. And there's so much diversity from one person's bone structure to another. The shape of our joints are as unique as the differences on our faces. So as you come into these different poses, it's really important you play with the angles and the depth, the expressions of the poses until it feels just right for you. The second tattva of Yin Yoga is to find your edge, which is one of those yoga phrases that can be extremely elusive and hard to understand. And what it basically means is you come into the pose until you feel your first point of resistance, until the body first says, hey, stop. Now, for most of us, unless we're extremely experienced in Yin or we've got a very mobile body, that first point of resistance will be muscular. It will be soft tissue that's restricted, that's stopping our movements. As we relax that soft tissue over time and with repeated practice, you'll find that then the next thing that might stop you will be tendon, ligament, even the joint itself. It can also be fascia, the connective tissue that creates some resistance. There's a lot of nerves in fascia which can make us feel like we're tight or like there's a reason to stop. So we just come into the pose until we first feel that feeling of stop, like the pose is a hammock and we're leaning in until we have our body weight held, but we're not pushing beyond that. And then the third tattva is to stay for time. And we just allow time to do its healing. We allow gravity to ease and surrender the body down to the ground. And really, we want the mind to move out the way. A lot of the time, restriction in the body comes from our brain being protective. either because there's been previous injuries or we just feel in some way emotionally tense or mentally busy, and that stops us from really softening and relaxing into our full range. Let's begin to breathe a little with a Tao flow. Take an inhale, blinking the eyes open, and lift your arms softly up towards the ceiling, keeping the wrists loose and heavy, as if you're trailing your fingers through water. As you exhale, take the hands down towards the back nape of your neck. Turn the palms outwards and press the side walls away from you. Wrists flexed, shoulders soft. Keep pressing. Then inhale, palms face up. Dive your hands into the top shoulders. Keep breathing as you lift your elbows high, slightly drawing in the pubic bone so you can feel breath flooding into the side ribs. As you exhale, press your hands strongly forward like you're pushing away the front wall. Option to roll the chin towards the chest for an additional neck release. As you inhale, wash your hands, palms over the face. Arms up towards the ceiling, palms face back. Lift the chest, maybe a moderate back bend, feeling the length in the side belly. As you exhale, elbows skim the sides of the rib cage. If you're kneeling, come forward into child's pose. Head towards the ground, but don't worry if it doesn't touch. If you're seated, just more of a moderate forward fold. As you inhale, roll up through the spine, shoulders stack over hip bones, and we begin again. Inhale, arms up towards the sky, like you're trailing your fingers through water, shoulders soft. Exhale, drive the hands down towards the back nape of the neck, like you're pouring warm water down your spine. Keep breathing out as you press your arms wide to the sides, wrists flexed, pressing away the walls. Palms face up, dive the hands in towards the tops of your shoulders, and keep breathing in as you lift your elbows up high. As you exhale, press your hands strongly forward, maybe this time even rounding your spine as you roll your chin towards your chest. Inhale, hands over the face like you're washing your face. Let your gaze follow your arms as they reach to the sky. And exhale, elbows skim the sides of the rib cage. Bow your head forward and down into child's pose. One more time. Inhale, roll up through the spine. Both arms high, wrists nice and soft. Keep it loose. Exhale, bring the hands down towards the back nape of your neck. Keep breathing out as you press your arms wide to the sides of the room like you're breaking the walls. Palms face up, dive your hands in towards the tops of your shoulders. Keep breathing in as you lift your elbows up high. And exhale, press your hands strongly forward. Chin can draw in towards the chest, maybe even round your spine. Inhale, come all the way up through, washing face, palms to ceiling. And this time, exhale, bring the hands into the heart center, Samastiti. Keep pressing your palms actively until you feel your shoulder blades flatten on the back of your rib cage. Inhale, lift the crown of the head high to the sky. Imagine you're balancing a huge bowl of water on the crown of the head. As you exhale, turning your chin towards the right side. Keep your ears level. Bowl of water still balanced. Inhale when you're ready. Head back to the center. Keep a sense of press evenly through left and right hand. Exhale, glide your chin towards the left side. Ears level. Shoulder blades flat on the back of your rib cage. Inhale back through to center. Exhale to lift your chin high towards the ceiling, opening up your throat. Inhale, center. Exhale, draw your chin down towards your chest. Try and keep the spine upright. And then inhale, center. Keep your hands pressing together in prayer. And then slowly drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Either stay there or release your left arm towards the left side and stretch the fingers diagonally away from you. And then palms back to prayer, head back to center. Drop your left ear gently towards your left shoulder. Face still faces the front. Shoulder blades down and flat on the back ribs. And then if you want to add to that, you can reach your right arm to the right side and kind of diagonally extend the fingers towards the right side. And then slowly come back through to center. It'll feel quite nervy, that release. And then slowly release. Rotate through the wrists. And then reverse that circle. Good. And then come forward onto all fours. Tap the feet out. You might have slightly numb feet after kneeling for that length of time. And then come into a kneeling position with the toes pointing away behind you. Now, interestingly, the ankle joint is really different from one person to the next. And for some people, toes back behind you, stretching the front of the ankle like this is absolute agony / not even possible. If you've got really kind of high back heel bone, that actually won't be able to go into that shape. So if that's not working for you, you can try rolling up a blanket in the front of the ankle so that your feet are not entirely flat down, or you could even tuck your toes. Okay, if you're tucking your toes, stay where you are. You're already doing a yin pose called toe squat. If you've got your toes pointing behind you and the front of the shin and ankle is flat on the floor, slowly begin to lift your left knee up just a little bit to open up the front of the shin bone and the front bones of the foot. Weird sensation. This is a classic yin yoga sensation. It is not muscular. We're looking at opening the skeleton a little bit, putting pressure on the bones to make them stronger, reconditioning the fascia, which is the connective tissue, like this kind of internal onesie that we wear around our bones and our organs and all the muscles. So we come into the pose in a way that honors our unique anatomy. We find the right intensity level, or we find our edge, and we stay for time. We're going to just take 5 breaths here. Slow breaths. And just slowly ease that right leg down. Take a moment. Those of you in toe squat, just pad out the feet again to get the blood flow back in. And then let's come to the other side. So slowly take the right hand towards the right knee or thigh and just gently lean back until you have the right intensity for your unique body. Visualize the tarsals, the kind of bones of the feet going wider. Feel space at the front of the ankle joint. We don't want to feel any pinching or harsh sensations at the back of the heel. So if you're feeling that, maybe try toe squat instead. And then 5 slow breaths. Imagine the breath is not just taking in around the lungs, it's also moving down into the front of the ankle. So as you breathe in, visualize the breath touching and making space in the front of the ankle. And as you breathe out, visualize the breath returning to the throat. Slowly release and bring the right knee back down. Well done. Just bring yourself forward onto all fours. Lift the feet up. They might feel a little sore and tender. You might want to gently rotate the feet. You might just not want to do any movements and just keep them still with the toes slightly tucked to see what you feel you need. Now, our next posture will require either a pillow or a bolster or a brick. I'll talk you through those first 2 options. The brick is the hardcore option. The brick will placed on its second height, so not flat and not super high, but on its second height, with a long side kind of across the body. That's the inside blade of the brick is going to press into the space between the rib cage. We're going to come down to a sideline position. If you just stay up and watch these kind of options first before you choose which one you come in on. And then I'm going to place my hand on my head for support. And I'm going to tip the brick or move my ribs kind of backwards and forwards until I find a kind of angle where I'm like, oh, that needs to release. That feels a little bit tight. And then rather than using movement, once I've got the kind of sweet spot, if you like, it might not feel that sweet, you lean into it and just allow the weight of your body to press down into the brick. And then we're going to add a little bit of movement, which is not totally common for yin, but really nice in this sense. As you inhale, then the arm can come up and over. And you're really breathing up into the sky, down into the brick. And as you exhale, you glide the arm back down. Okay, so that's your first option. That's going to be the most intense because it's a hard thing that you're pressing the ribs into. Softer option, the bolster. And if you're using the bolster and you don't feel that mobile in the side body, you might also want a brick to lay your head on, so you've got some support. You place your rib cage, or really the top of the waistline at the bottom of the bolster. Bolster is horizontally across the mat. You nestle in, the shoulder should and the armpit should be over the top of the bolster, and you reach your arm away from you. Then you turn the brick up to whatever height is needed to support the head. You can go high, you can go down a little bit, which will increase the side stretch. But be comfortable here, okay? Don't suffer unnecessarily. And then the knees can be stacked. If you've got a sore back, you might want to place a cushion or another bolster between the legs. And then the same thing. We can just soften here. That might be enough. Or we can add in the breath. And as you inhale, you stretch the arm up and overhead and feel expansion both in the lower and the top ribs. And as you exhale, then slowly draw a semicircle with the right arm, bringing the right hand back to the right thigh. And you keep moving like that. Okay, so choose which one you're going for. If any of you find that both of those options are just too much of a side bend up, you can actually roll up your blanket or a towel and have a very small kind of rolled up towel in the sides of the rib cage, head flat on the floor. That's also a really nice variation. We'll be doing more of that later on in the course as well. Okay, so once you're in place, let's just take 10 breaths like this together. Inhale, arm loops up and overhead. Exhale, lift the arm up to the sky and then drape it gently back down to your thigh. Let there be a moment of stillness between the breaths. When you're ready, inhale up and over again. Now, ideally, the breath is not necessarily audible, ujjayi, like in vinyasa. It's a slightly more gentle, light breath than in vinyasa or hatha yoga. But we do ideally want to be breathing with the mouth closed and gently drawing the breath along the back of the throat, because that will help the breath to be slower and longer. And we want to be breathing as slowly as possible, which means also honoring the pauses between the breaths, so we're not rushing. So you've got to 10. Again, all of you will breathe at a unique length, so feel free to just stop when you've reached your 10. You can choose to then rest for the final minute with your arm overhead. If that feels in any way not right for your body, then you can bring the arm either down to the thigh or just across the belly. Those of you on the brick, you might need to just slightly vary the angle to create a new line of pressure. You can also lift the brick a little bit higher on the ribs, so you're accessing a new pressure point. Good job, and then slowly come back through to center. Press your hands into the bolster or the floor. Move the bolster or the brick away from your mat. And let's come into a forward-facing shavasana between the sides. So kind of roll onto your belly. You could also come into a child's pose or a normal shavasana on your back. You're taking forward-facing shavasana. Rest your head on your hands. Okay, and then take your hands underneath your armpits. Slowly lift yourself up onto all fours. No sudden movements. You want to keep a really languid energy as we practice throughout. We're going to come to the other side of the same pose. So use the same prop as you did on the other side. So it could be a brick under the rib cage, or it could be your bolster or a pillow, or even a rolled up towel or blanket. Now, we're not always symmetrical, so it might be that you need slightly more or less props, more or less support this side, but roughly be in the same variation. Take a moment to get comfortable. You want to make sure that the bolster is not kind of squashing the sides of your waist. It's more the rib cage. So we're kind of forcing the rib cage into a bit of lateral flexion or side bending. And then when you're ready, reach the top arm overhead. Your lower arm is reaching away from the face. Make sure your thighs are nice and relaxed, toes and ankles relaxed. And then inhale to extend the arm overhead. Exhale, slowly draw that semicircle over towards the top thigh. Inhale, drawing the semicircle overhead and reaching. Feel the ribs expand both left and right. Exhale, come back towards the thigh. Imagine you're gliding your arm through really thick, warm water. So there's some resistance there and you're gliding so slowly it stretches out your breathing rhythm. This time as the arm comes overhead, you can choose to stay there for a last minute here. You could allow the arm to drop back towards your thigh or your belly if that doesn't feel right. But you don't want this top arm to be too floppy so that it squashes your head. You want to keep a little bit of pressure with the fingertips down. So creating this side kind of arching line. The rib cage kind of hangs down from that line onto the bolster or the brick. Slow, smooth breaths, honoring the pauses between the breaths where everything is still. Listen to the space around you without labeling the sound. And then slowly bring your hands down to the floor, the side of your head, and then lift yourself onto all fours, this time coming back into a child's pose. So toes together, knees nice and wide. You can take the legs really as wide as you need here. We're accessing the kind of the liver line here. So the wider the knees, the more you'll feel that release in the inner groin and the inner thighs. If you've got any knee issues and kneeling like this isn't comfortable, try placing a blanket at the back of the knees. If that doesn't help, then come into forward facing Shavasana. Bring your forehead down to the floor or a bolster or a blanket or a cushion. Let your elbows and your arms be nice and soft and relaxed, but outstretched. As you inhale, call your inhalation breath 1 in your mind. As you exhale, call your exhalation breath 2. As you inhale, call your inhalation breath 3. As you exhale, call your exhalation breath 4, and keep going all the way to 10, counting both sides of the breath, honoring the pauses between the breaths. Feel the space and the length you're creating as you breathe deeply in this position, from the armpits to the sides of the hips. Round of counting to 10. So when you're ready at 10, then you inhale again as 1, exhale 2, and so on all the way to 10. Let's come into our next pose. So hands underneath the shoulders, lift the chest up. This one's called puppy stretch. And we're going to do half puppy stretch. So we're focusing on lengthening one side of the body. This doesn't feel so good if it feels too extreme in your shoulders or your chest or your lower back. Then come into child's pose and do the same arm movements, but from child's pose with your bum on your heels. Bring the left elbow in front of the left shoulder, forearm parallel with the front of the mat. So you're kind of in this shape here. Then reach your right arm forward to the front, fingertips forward over the front of the mat, and bring your forehead down towards the ground. You could bring your chin towards the floor as well. Those of you that are much more mobile in the thoracic spine and the neck might find that comfortable. It is quite a lot of pressure on the neck to sustain for the 3 minutes we'll be here, but feel free to try that if that feels good for you. If not, forehead down. And you could also have your forehead on a cushion or a blanket or a bolster if this feels too strong. And knees underneath hips. Sitting bones lifting to ceiling, and your back should feel like this lovely curvy slide that slopes down to the ground. As you find your edge and you soften and surrender to the time of the pose, we want to feel like the armpits and the chest is sinking more and more towards the ground with every breath, just by surrendering and letting go to that natural gravitational pull. Notice where it feels like the breath travels to in this pose. If you feel any sharp sensations or pinching around the shoulder, just try changing the angle of the arm until that sensation goes away. Tender after that hold. Come back to a child's pose with your hands behind you towards your feet. Maybe head on a cushion or a block. Maybe head just straight on the ground. Maybe even right cheek towards the floor, facing the left, so that right side of your body, shoulder, armpit area can really relax. And to the other side. So come forward again onto all fours. Keep your hips above your knees. Tilt your pelvis forward so your sitting bones turn up to the ceiling. And then this time, bring your right elbow forward in front of the shoulder line, forearm across parallel with the front of the mat. And then reach your left hand forward and take the forehead or the chin towards the ground, or a block or bolster. Your feet can be toes tucked or pointing backwards, whatever feels right for you. Over time, you're allowing your chest to sink further down towards the ground. So we're creating more space in the thoracic spine, which is the rib cagey bit of your body. And we're particularly opening or loading the left kind of armpit area, which will contribute to a much bigger range of motion in the side body. And releasing here along the gallbladder meridian line. A little bit of the liver line as well. Even though we're still in the Yin Yoga poses, doesn't mean that we can't adapt them and kind of deepen them as we go through the time of the duration of the pose. So if you feel that your body's begun to sink and soften a bit more, it might be that if you were forehead down, you then try chin down. It can also work the other way. If you're quite deep in the pose and you feel like you need to rein it back in, you can add more props and kind of decrease the intensity. Just a few more breaths here. And then slowly make your way back up through to center. You're going to come straight into the next pose. Bring your bolster or your pillow behind you, ideally at an angle. So if you've got a brick to hand, place one brick on its second height, a third of the way down the bolster to create a kind of slopey ramp. If you don't have a brick, then maybe a couple of pillows underneath it. So you've got the bolster or the back support at an angle. Then slide your pelvis up close towards the bottom of the brick and kind of push the bottom of the bolster down so it's not too severe a gradient. And then lie back into Supta Baddha Konasana, lying cobbler's pose with the arms alongside you, or butterfly in Yin Yoga. Now here we're accessing kind of gallbladder side body region here from the kind of inner armpits all the way down to the side ribs. We're also accessing the liver meridian lines in the inner groin. Just let the legs hang heavy. If you've got two bricks or two cushions you want to place underneath the outside legs, feel free to. Draw the chin's crease down so you've got a double chin. The neck is long and relaxed. You could even place a blanket underneath the back of your head. With Yin Yoga, the idea is that we create energy, or qi as it's called in the Chinese medicine system, through stillness, through the art of going with the flow, or in Taoism it's called kind of following the way. Letting nature take its course, letting life be exactly as it is, and really attuning ourselves to what is rather than fighting or striving for something different. Slowly lengthen your legs flat towards the front of the mat, into a supported Shavasana. You could move the bolsters out the way now and come down to lie flat. Feel the bliss of the whole body lying flat on the ground. Body completely surrendering to the natural pull of gravity now. Visualize your body being the bridge, the connection between the earth beneath you and the sky or the heavens above you. Soft and supple like the trees as they blow in the wind. Stable, rooted and grounded. Full of that creative energy to strive and to reach. Take as long as you need in Shavasana. When you're ready to leave, take a moment to lean into the fetal position and come around slowly, sitting in meditation for a few minutes, if you can, before you re-enter your day or your evening. It's been a pleasure practicing with you.